Welcome to Dynamic Auto Painter 7. This video is all about the very basics. So, what is Dynamic Auto Painter? It is software to automatically repaint photos in the style of famous world masters, such as Van Gogh, Monet, Benson, Corot, Cézanne, and many others. Of course, that's the short answer. Dynamic Auto Painter has been in development for over a decade, with numerous updates and versions, and it is now more like its own universe. It has a lot of editing features and even its own nodal effects processing system, so it's understandable that first-time users might be just a little bit overwhelmed. But don't worry, the software is designed to grow with the users as they become more familiar with it. First, the software is not a filter. Instead of manipulating the pixels in the input photo, it takes the image as a guide and applies real brush strokes based on the works of famous classical painters. In reality, many brushes were inspired by an examination of genuine paintings by Van Gogh, Monet, Sargent, and others. So in certain ways, your artwork will carry signature elements of these famous works. The most basic method of using the software is certainly something you've already tried. Load or drag and drop a photo, select a preset, then click the Start button. Then sit back and watch how the software tries to reproduce the photo using its brushes. Sometimes the result will be spectacular, but other times, maybe not as much. Here is the first lesson. Not all photos are paint-worthy. There are images that will look great in the majority of the presets, and then there are images that will be always a bit off. In fact, the criteria are nearly identical to how a real painter would choose a good scene to paint. In short, good lighting, recognizable main object, and not too many distracting details. Here is a trick you can use. The software includes a thumbnail browser. There is a checkbox labeled Tonal Values. A good scene should be instantly recognizable, even on these sepia-colored thumbnails. If you can't really describe the image, it's probably not a very good candidate. After you've loaded the image, it's time to choose a style. There are main styles as well as what we call variations. This number indicates the number of variations the preset has, and clicking on the arrow shows all of them. Variations, in general, use the same artist brush set, but with different settings, producing different results. After you've selected a preset, go to the Painter tab. Here are some quick settings that can be changed without having to delve deeper into the preset. For now, you can concentrate on the canvas size only. Because Dynamic Auto Painter is not a filter, the output image may be a different size than the input image. In fact, you can use a small web image to create a much larger painting. You may be tempted to increase the output resolution, but this is not always the best option. Using a canvas of 2,400 or 3,200 pixels is a good starting point. It works relatively quickly and gives you a better sense of the style than if you were using a larger output canvas. Now it's time to press the Start button and watch it paint. Most presets stop automatically after a certain number of brush strokes, but there are some that may continue indefinitely. Look to the right side to see how the painting will come to an end. This setting can be changed even while painting. During painting, you can direct the painter's attention to specific areas. Simply click on an area that needs more attention. The type of assisted painting is defined by buttons on the right side. By default, it is set to Area Auto Brush, which is probably what you should use most. When you choose Fine Auto Brush, the area of focus shrinks and also the painted brushes become thinner. There are other types of brushes, but their functions are more specific. You can stop the painting whenever you like, even before it finishes automatically. When the painting is finished, go to the Final Output tab and save it. You can also save the painting half size, which is ideal for forums or social media. This option not only shrinks the painting, but also applies high-frequency sharpening to make it look crisp on smaller screens. That's all you need to know to get started with the software. However, as you can see, there are numerous other tabs at the bottom that we didn't mention. So here's a quick rundown. The gray-blue tabs are for adjusting the image before painting. The red tabs are for adjusting the result after painting. Because we just finished one, let's take a quick look at the red ones. The Retouch tab allows you to correct any flaws in your image after it was painted. As you've seen, the painting went through several stages. They are referred to as cycles. The large foundation brushes are used in the underpaint cycle, followed by the soft reveal cycle, in which a processed image is mixed in, and finally the detail cycle, which uses small brushes for details. The buttons correspond to these cycles, so for example, we can paint back and underpaint. There is also a clone brush, which functions similarly to a clone brush in a photo editing application. When you're finished, click the Apply to Painting button. You can remove these changes at any time. In the Outline tab, you can add an outline, such as a pencil sketch underneath a watercolor painting. Choose one of the presets and work your way up from there. As with the Retouch tab, you need to apply it with the Apply to Painting button, and also you can remove it at any time. Similarly, we have a Canvas tab where we can change how the canvas texture appears through the paint or remove it entirely. We can specify how the paint reacts to light in the Material tab by changing diffuse and specular reflectivity. That's probably not something you'll do right away. Now, the Color Adjust tab is much easier to understand. You can make basic color adjustments to the output painting here. Don't be surprised if some values are already set because many presets include a color adjustment step. And the last of the red tabs is called Layers, and it is also the most complex of them all. Think of the adjustment layers in Photoshop. This is essentially where you can completely alter the painting's character. Many presets make some clever adjustments so that the layers will be already populated as shown here. And yes, you can export it to Photoshop for further adjustments. You're probably wondering, why do we move through these features so quickly? Well, each of these features would require its own lengthy explanation, which would be appropriate for another video. Right now, you should be aware of where everything is, but not too concerned with details. In the same racing spirit, let's take a quick look at the blue tabs that are used before the painting begins. We already saw the Painter tab. Here are some preset parameters that can be changed. A few of these parameters are accessible even during the painting and have an immediate effect. The Advanced tab hides some advanced parameters. We will gracefully avoid it for the time being. This is Panel. By creating your own control panel, you can access any of the internal parameters in the preset. Again, let's leave it for another time. The gray panel is used to adjust the color of the input image. It is fairly self-explanatory, at least for those who are accustomed to this type of control. In Paint is a very useful feature that allows you to fix the photo even before it is painted. There are numerous tools available that can replace or in-paint specific areas of an image with a different part. The 360 tab is used if you want to paint 360-degree equirectangular panorama images. There are numerous other features that we will not even touch on in this introductory video. There is an entire section of the software dedicated to creating presets, for example. The best advice is to take it slowly, step by step. Check out some of our other videos where we go over some of the more advanced features in greater detail. The software was designed to be taken in small chunks with the idea that you will discover more and more functionality as you progress. It is also worth noting that while the software works well on its own, professionals frequently use it as part of a much larger creative workflow pipeline. You can think of it as a fantastic tool in your toolbox, rather than the means to complete everything from start to finish. Well, we are out of time. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to get notified about more of these videos. Stay safe and see you soon.